Good morning. This is Quiet Echo. I'm Teresa Nikas. It's Monday. And this week, I am not easing you into anything. On Wednesday, the Washington Post fired more than 300 journalists. On Thursday, the paper's CEO and publisher, Will Lewis, was photographed on the red carpet at a celebrity gala in San Francisco. On Saturday evening, he resigned by email, called his time at the paper 2 years of transformation. I have run this paper for a long time. I know what transformation looks like. That was not it. That was abandonment. Let me walk you through what happened, because the details matter. They always do. Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post in 2013. He is worth more than $200 billion. For a while, he invested in the paper. It grew. It hired talented people. It won Pulitzer Prizes under executive editor Marty Baron, the same Marty Baron who led the Boston Globe's investigation of abuse in the Catholic Church. The Post became one of the most respected newsrooms in the world. Its motto, "Democracy dies in darkness," was carved into the building like a covenant. Then Jeff Bezos broke the covenant. In October 2024, weeks before the presidential election, Bezos killed the paper's planned endorsement of a candidate. The Post had made an endorsement in every presidential race for decades. The editorial page editor resigned in protest. Readers understood what had happened. A billionaire silenced his own newspaper to protect his business interests. More than 375,000 subscribers canceled. The paper lost $100 million in revenue. Bezos did not reverse course. In February 2025, he ordered the editorial page refocused on personal liberties and free markets. NPR reported the new direction was far less likely to produce criticism of President Trump. Another editor resigned. More subscribers left. And then there was Will Lewis. Bezos hired him in late 2023. Lewis came from Rupert Murdoch's media empire, the Wall Street Journal, the Daily Telegraph. He arrived with baggage. He had been accused of involvement in covering up the phone hacking scandal at Murdoch's British tabloids. He promised innovation. He delivered chaos. In 2 years as CEO, Will Lewis held exactly one all-staff meeting. One. He was effectively absent from the newsroom he was supposed to lead. And last Wednesday, when executive editor Matt Murray got on a mandatory Zoom call to tell the staff that a third of them no longer had jobs, Lewis did not show up. He did not address his people. He did not look them in the eye, not even through a screen. The sports section was eliminated. The book section was closed. The Cairo bureau was shuttered. The entire Middle East reporting team was fired. The Ukraine bureau chief was let go. One war correspondent, a woman named Lizzie Johnson, posted that she received her termination email while reporting from an active combat zone. The Metro desk, the very heart of a newspaper that serves a living city, was cut from more than 40 reporters to about a dozen. Marty Baron, the man who built the Post's modern reputation, called it among the darkest days in the history of one of the world's greatest news organizations. He said the paper's problems were made indefinitely worse by ill-conceived decisions that came from the very top. The Washington Post Guild, the union that represents the staff, called Lewis's departure long overdue and said his legacy was the attempted destruction of a great American journalism institution. And what did Jeff Bezos say? He issued a statement. He praised the new leadership team. And he said, and I want you to hear this clearly, the data tells us what is valuable and where to focus. The data, not the duty, not the readers, not the people of Washington, D.C., who depend on a Metro reporter to tell them what their city council did last Tuesday. The data. I want to tell you what a Metro reporter does, because I am one. She sits through a 4-hour zoning meeting on a Wednesday night, so you do not have to. She is the reason the building inspector does not look the other way. She is the reason the school board does not quietly cut the program your children depend on. She is not a line item. She is the last line of defense between the people who run your town and the people who live in it. When a billionaire says the data will tell him where to focus, he is telling you he does not understand what a newspaper does, or he understands exactly and has decided it is not worth the cost. Jeff Bezos could fund the Post's losses for a century without feeling it. He chose not to. Will Lewis could have faced his newsroom. He chose a red carpet. Matt Murray could have resigned rather than deliver the cuts. He stayed. Character is not what you say in a press release. Character is what you do when the cost of doing right is personal and uncomfortable. Last week, the leaders of one of America's most important newspapers showed us their character. It was not complicated, it was just empty. Here in Cedar Valley, I sit at a desk by the front window. I answer the phone when it rings. I go to the meetings nobody else attends. Nobody is going to buy this paper and hollow it out. Nobody is going to fire the reporters. Because I am the reporter, and Caleb sets the type, and Dan drops copies at the diner before the coffee is ready. That is not a business model. It is a covenant. I made it with this town, and I intend to keep it. So here is what I am asking you this Monday morning. Read your local paper. If you have one, pay for it. Do not take it for granted. The people who write it are showing up because they believe your town matters enough to be told the truth about itself. Democracy does not die in darkness. It dies in indifference. It dies when a billionaire decides his newspaper is a burden. It dies when a CEO goes to a party instead of facing the people he failed. It dies a little every time someone says local news does not matter. It matters. The people who write it matter, and the towns that lose both do not get either one back easily. Let us not be one of those towns. This has been Quiet Echo. I'm Teresa Nikas. I will be at this desk tomorrow morning. And the morning after that. Have a good week. We will talk again soon. This podcast is part of the fictional Cedar Valley News series. While the people in town are fictional, the national events they reflect on are real. Want to know the full story behind Cedar Valley? Teresa, Caleb, Dan, and the community you've come to know in these editorials first came together in Quiet Echo. When loud voices divide, quiet ones bring together. Discover how a small town found its way from fear to fellowship, one quiet act of courage at a time. Available on Amazon.
You've been listening to the Cedar Valley News Podcast, where small-town voices meet the headlines shaping our world. From faith and family to front porches and fields. We'll be back with more stories connecting real lives to real events. Until next time, keep your porch light on, your faith strong, and your heart open.